Minute, I was holding Chloe's hand, chuckling over a sparkly unicorn-themed phone case she'd pointed out. The next, a thick, acrid cloud of something sickeningly sweet and chemical blasted into my face, burning my eyes and throat. I barely registered Chloe's choked gasp beside me before the world dissolved into a dizzying haze of body spray fumes and panicked shouts. This wasn't how I'd pictured our Saturday at the mall going down. Let me rewind a bit. My name's Ethan, and normally a trip to the mall with my girlfriend, Chloe, is pretty chill. We were just doing our thing, strolling through the electronics store, comparing phone covers. You know, normal couple stuff? That's when this woman appeared, seemingly out of nowhere. She looked a little frazzled, mid-40s maybe, clutching a large purse. She bustled right up to us, not even breaking stride. "Excuse me? Do you work here?" she demanded, her voice tight with impatience. Chloe and I exchanged a quick, confused glance. I mean, we were both in jeans and t-shirts, browsing like any other customers. We definitely didn't look like we were clocking in. No ma'am," I said, a little taken aback. "We don't work here. Just shopping." She seemed to take a beat, a flicker of recognition in her eyes. "Oh, my apologies," she said, almost too quickly, but then her tone immediately shifted. "Well, since you're here, can you tell me where the Glamour Glow store is?" "I'm in a hurry." We tried to be polite. "We're sorry, we really don't," Chloe chimed in, stepping slightly in front of me. "We're just customers, like you. Maybe ask an actual employee at the front desk?" But no wasn't really a concept this woman seemed to grasp. She started cutting us off, talking over us. "But you must know, it's a beauty store, sells all the good stuff. Just point me in the right direction." Her voice was getting louder, drawing a few curious looks from other shoppers. My annoyance was starting to simmer. "Look," I said, trying to keep my voice even. "We've told you, we don't work here. We can't help you." And that's when things went absolutely sideways. She didn't say another word, just reached into her enormous purse, pulled out a can of body spray, something cheap and floral, I think, and pointed it right at us. Before I could even react, she blasted it directly into our faces. The fumes hit like a physical punch. My eyes slammed shut, tearing up instantly. My throat seized, and I started coughing uncontrollably. Chloe let out a shriek, stumbling back into me. It wasn't pepper spray, but it was aggressive, disorienting, and utterly insane. I instinctively pulled Chloe closer, shielding her. "What the hell?" I choked out, trying to blink away the stinging. The lady standing there with the can still pointed just gave us this twisted, smug little smirk. "Maybe now you'll help me?" she snapped, like we were the problem. Suddenly, a couple of mall security guards and an electronics store manager were rushing over, alerted by the commotion. "Ma'am, what do you think you're doing?" the manager bellowed. "Put that down. You just assaulted these customers." She ignored them, still focused on us. That's when she did it again. With the manager yelling at her, she took another can, same cheap brand, different scent, and sprayed us again. This time, I saw it coming. I ducked, pulling Chloe down with me, but she wasn't quite fast enough. A fresh cloud of noxious fragrance engulfed her side, and she started coughing, genuinely struggling to breathe now. Her eyes were streaming, and she bent over, gasping for air. "Chloe!" I cried, trying to help her stand up straight. The security guard sprang into action, grabbing the woman's arms. She put up a surprising fight, flailing and screaming. "Let go of me! They were rude! They wouldn't help me!" Chloe was still coughing, leaning against me, gasping. The manager was already on his radio, calling for medical assistance and the police. Within minutes, 2 officers were on the scene. The woman, now being held firmly by the security guards, suddenly collapsed into a dramatic heap, bursting into theatrical tears. "I didn't do anything wrong," she wailed, crocodile tears streaming down her face. "They provoked me. They refused to help a poor lost shopper." It was truly a sight to behold. 1 minute, an unhinged aggressor, the next, a blubbering victim. But the evidence was all over us, and the manager and security guards were clear witnesses. The officers swiftly took her into custody. Chloe eventually got her breath back. Thankfully, though, she had a nasty headache and a lingering burn in her throat for the rest of the day. We gave our statements, and the police assured us they'd press charges for assault. Seriously, who sprays people with body spray because they won't give directions? Some people just have a screw loose. We ended up leaving the mall without a new phone case, but with one hell of a story. Never thought I'd be telling an r/IDontWorkHereLAdy story where the Karen literally sprays you. Stay safe out there, guys. You never know what's going to hit you or what's going to come out of someone's purse.
You think the first two were crazy, the next one's a whole different level. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss more stories like this.
The second I heard his roar, a cold dread hit me. It wasn't just loud, it was the kind of guttural, ugly sound that instantly tells you someone's gone from angry to unhinged. I was restocking shelves in aisle 7, minding my own business, when the shout ripped through the otherwise quiet store. My head snapped up, and my heart immediately started pounding against my ribs. I raced towards the noise, my feet slapping against the linoleum. When I rounded the corner into the feminine hygiene aisle, the sight stopped me dead. There she was. Goth girl, her face an ashen mask of pure terror, trapped. An older guy, easily twice her size, was gripping her arm with a furious, vice-like hold. His face was puffy and crimson, spit flying as he shrieked, "I saw you, you little thieving freak." Goth girl, who'd walked in maybe 10 minutes earlier looking for tampons, her usual cool gothic vibe replaced by a desperate, wide-eyed panic, was practically vibrating with fear. She'd come up to me at 6:24, looking pale and utterly mortified, whispering that she'd unexpectedly run out and was in a bind. I just pointed her in the direction of aisle 9. Now she was frozen, a handful of sanitary pads, not tampons pads, still clutched in her free hand. She was trying to put them back, for crying out loud. "Hey, get your hands off her right now." My voice came out sharper than I intended, laced with pure adrenaline. I didn't even think. I just moved. The man's head swiveled, his bloodshot eyes locking onto me. "Stay out of this, you little punk. This one's a thief. Look at her, dressed like a demon. She's obviously stealing." He tightened his grip, pulling Goth Girl closer, his face a mottled red, fueled by some nasty mix of prejudice and baseless accusation. "She's not stealing. She's putting merchandise back. Let go of her immediately or I'm calling security." I could feel my own temper flaring, a hot wave of protectiveness washing over me. This poor kid was just trying to buy period products, and this entitled jerk was assaulting her. He ignored me, completely. "Get your manager. I want her arrested. I saw her pocket something." He hadn't, of course. She was visibly shaking, unable to even speak, her eyes wide and pleading with me. And the whole time, Security Dave stood there, a few feet away, looking like he was watching a particularly dull tennis match. Not a damn thing. "Sir, you need to release her. Pay for your items and leave, or I'm going to have you escorted out and banned from the store." I tried again, my voice trembling slightly but holding firm. He finally let go of Goth Girl, but not before giving her arm an extra squeeze that made her whimper. He didn't leave, though. Instead, he started ranting and raving, following me and Goth Girl like a deranged shadow as I tried to usher her away from him. He only stopped when I threatened to call the actual police, at which point he stomped out, still yelling about freaks and thieves and how he wouldn't be shopping here again. Good riddance, honestly. Goth Girl looked absolutely shattered. Her arm was already starting to bruise, a nasty red mark blooming on her pale skin where his fingers had dug in. "Are you okay?" I asked, my voice softer now. She just shook her head, tears welling up in her eyes. I grabbed a cold water from a nearby cooler and pressed it into her trembling hand. "Come on, let's get you to the manager. He's a good guy." I led her up to the front, explaining the whole horrifying ordeal to Mark, our manager, a cool-headed guy who immediately understood the gravity of the situation. Goth Girl, still shaky but finding a bit of her voice, showed him her arm. Mark took one look at the red mark, then shot a venomous glare in Security Dave's direction, who still looked like he'd just woken up from a nap. "Aubrey, you did good," Mark said, his jaw tight. He then turned to Goth Girl. "We're going to file a full report, and that man is permanently banned from this store. This is absolutely unacceptable." He made sure she was okay, got her information, and personally walked her out to her car with me, just to ensure she was safe getting to her vehicle. "I am so sorry you had to go through that," I told her again. "My stomach's still in knots." She just nodded, her eyes still a little glassy, but with a flicker of something that looked like gratitude. Even after she drove off, even after Mark praised me for handling things well, I couldn't shake the awful feeling. I kept replaying the man's accusations, his vile language, the fear on Goth Girl's face. Did she go to the police? Is she really okay? And what about security Dave, just standing there? He's supposed to be there to help, right? It just makes you wonder, you know? What kind of world are we living in when someone can assault a person in public, based purely on how they look, and bystanders, or even security, do nothing? Anyway, that's my story for today. Just a reminder to always be kind, guys. You really never know what someone else is going through, or what kind of monster they might run into.
Okay, so imagine this. The smell of pepperoni and garlic knots is hanging heavy in the air. The kind of blissful scent that tells you the grind of a summer theme park shift is finally behind you. My coworkers and I, all still buzzing with that post-shift adrenaline, but utterly drained, had practically collapsed into a booth at the pizza joint across from the park. We were on our first proper break in what felt like 4 years since I'd come back to this gig, and those slices were calling my name. We still had on our basic black park tees, easy to mistake for any service uniform if you weren't really looking. I'd just taken that first glorious bite, cheese stretching to infinity when I felt it. A sharp, insistent tap on my shoulder. Not a polite excuse me, but a demand. I instinctively moved a bit, thinking someone wanted to squeeze past, but no. When I turned, there she was, a woman with a face that looked like it had been permanently set to disappointed, hands on her hips, glaring. "Excuse me," she snapped, voice tight with impatience. "Could you please clean my table? It's filthy." My pepperoni-induced haze instantly evaporated. My brow furrowed. Ma'am, I think you have me mistaken for someone else," I said, trying to be polite, gesturing vaguely at my half-eaten slice. "I'm actually on my break." "I don't work here. I work across the street at the park." She just stared at me, unblinking. "Don't be ridiculous. You're clearly an employee. You're wearing a uniform, aren't you? Now are you going to get to it, or do I need to find your manager?" Her gaze flickered to my black t-shirt as if that was all the evidence she needed. A little knot started to tighten in my stomach. Was she serious? "Look, I just told you," I said, my voice losing a fraction of its earlier politeness. "I don't work for this pizza place. I'm just a customer like you. I'm literally eating my lunch." I even gestured to my park lanyard, which was tucked under my shirt but visible enough. That's when she went from annoyed to full-on entitled Karen. Her voice got shriller, drawing a few glances from other tables. "Oh, so now you're going to lie, trying to shirk your responsibilities? This is exactly the kind of lazy customer service that ruins places like this. I pay good money to eat here and I expect employees to do their job." She actually pointed at my t-shirt again, then at my half-eaten pizza. "You're just sitting there stuffing your face when there are customers who need help?" My cool was definitely cracking. My coworkers were starting to squirm, some looking at her with wide eyes, others just trying to pretend they didn't exist. "Lady, I'm not going to clean your table," I stated, my voice firm and clear now. "I literally don't work for this establishment. You can ask anyone here. They'll tell you the same thing." She scoffed. A truly magnificent sound of pure indignation. "Oh, so you think you're clever, do you? Just a lazy, entitled employee who thinks they're above doing their job. I'm going to make sure your manager hears about this, you utterly useless person." She was practically yelling now, drawing everyone's attention. Just as I was about to fire back, ready to tell her exactly what she could do with her dirty table, a familiar voice cut through the commotion. "Ma'am, that is quite enough." I turned to see my own park manager, Mark, who'd been on his lunch break too, sitting a few tables away. He'd clearly witnessed the entire debacle unfolding. He stood up, towering over the woman, his arms crossed. "This young lady is my employee and she's on her personal break. She does not work for this pizza place, and frankly, your behavior is completely unacceptable. You need to leave now." The woman's jaw actually dropped. She looked from Mark to me, then back to Mark, her face a confused mix of rage and disbelief. But she was being so rude and she wouldn't do her job." Mark didn't even flinch. "Her job is not here, and your job is to treat people with respect. Now I suggest you vacate these premises before I call the actual management of this establishment." She sputtered, turning a blotchy red, and with one final venomous glare directed squarely at me, she snatched her purse and stormed out, muttering under her breath about unprofessionalism and terrible service. Mark just shook his head, then came over to our table. He clapped me on the shoulder. "You okay, Cameron?" "Yeah, Mark, I'm good. Just wow."
He actually chuckled. Well, that was certainly a show. Look, don't even worry about your lunch. He pulled out his wallet and pressed a 20 into my hand. That one's on me. Go get yourself another slice, maybe some extra garlic knots. You earned it for putting up with that. My coworkers gave me sympathetic smiles and a few thumbs up. I felt a wave of relief wash over me, mixed with a little bit of triumphant satisfaction. It was just a small thing, really. But having someone, especially my manager, step in and shut down that kind of entitlement felt incredibly validating. So yeah, another day, another reminder that some people just wake up looking for a fight, but sometimes you get to win, and sometimes you get free pizza out of it, and honestly, that's a win-win in my book.
This one pairs perfectly with what you just watched.